What's your position on federalism and charter change?
Federalism para sa akin po ay maganda because it's new, we have a chance, pero dapat walang political dynasty. Kasi pagka nag-federalism ka at may political dynasty, especially in Mindanao, some parts of Visayas, actually kahit sa Luzon, kawawa naman yung taong bayan na umaasa talaga ng pagbabago, pero iisang pamilya, isang angkan pa rin yung namumuno katulad ng present day. And I do believe na federalism, kung meron ka niyan, dapat yung mga mayayamang bayan would at least help yung mga mahihirap na bayan in Mindanao, in the Visayas. Alalayan sila in terms of financial management, auditing, handling ng resources para ma-manage nila ng tama yung mga resources nila. Kasi kung bigla tayo mag-federalism, merong Makati na 17 billion, 16 billion ang budget as compared to isang 50 million municipality, masyadong malayo yung gap ng mahirap at mayaman.
So we don't really need it at this time, do you think?
Pwede pong explore and pwedeng mag-transition, but kailangan yung mga provisions na pro-people, like anti-political dynasty, in place na muna. Para sigurado tayo na wala nang atrasan at walang sisihan bandang huli.
Pero charter change, okay ka?
Yes, charter change, yes. I think may mga provisions doon na masyadong luma na. Like yung sinasabi ko nga po, yung sa NDA, Defense Act, na I think panahon pa yun ni Aguinaldo. Tapos yung pagminsan, di ba napapanood na sa TV na ang bababa ng mga fines, ng mga bail, etc. So, pahirapan din natin ng konti itong mga kriminal na ito.
Lowering the age of criminal responsibility.
Yes. Up to 13 yung gusto ko sana, but I think 12 yung gusto ni Senator Soto at iba mga kongresista. Because 9 years old would be too young. Pag minahal mo at kinalinga mong isang 9 years old, parang baby yan eh. Kasi alam ko kasi may 9-year-old na anak ako. And yung mga grade 4 students sa classmates niya, parang mga babies talaga. Talagang alam mong mahal ng mga magulang nila. So, with a 13-year-old or 12-year-old, medyo malaki na yan. One basis would be yung case sa Albay kung saan yung student, inattempt niyang rapin yung kanyang teacher. Nung lumaban yung teacher, pinatay niya yung teacher. Mga batang hamog na nakikita natin, halos ganong age na yan. I think, alam ko na knowledgeable naman sila, na nagnanakaw sila, pumapatay sila, nang-rape sila, dinadrag nila yung mga kasama nila. So, tama yan. But, hindi sila dapat isama sa mga hardened criminals. Bahay Pag-asa, improve the facilities, turuan sila doon, parang meron din silang klase, livelihood training, para paglabas nila, hindi nila ma-feel na ostracize sila or in-isolate sila at na mawawala sa puso nila yung talagang pagiging kriminal o yung galit sa puso nila.
You don't think all of this debate as to 9 years old or 12 years old or 13, you're not there with those people who say na actually misdirection lang yung tanong na yan eh. Because it basically changes the topic to the point that hindi ina-acknowledge ng ating mga political leaders that the problem is the adults.
Yes.
Diba? But
to add lang.
Yeah, but so why get caught in that? Why join that conversation on that level? Or unless you really believe na no, legitimate yung usapan ng age.
Yes, may additional. I do believe na legitimate yung usapan ng age, pero may additional ako, nakalimutan ko lang. Kailangan isama sa penalties yung mga parents. Kasi nga as a parent, inaalagaan ko yung mga anak ko, pinag-aaral ko sila, kung di man sila nag-aaral, inaalagaan ko sila, pinapakain ko sila ng maayos. Kapabayaan na ng parents yan eh. Kaya nagiging batang kriminal itong mga batang ito eh. So, dapat isama sa penalties, ma-penalize din yung mga parents. It's not just really matter of yung age, pero kailangan may control tayo dun sa ganong age limit. Meaning, kung nagkasala, dapat ready yung society natin to punish them or we have an answer on how to deal with them. Yun lang naman yun eh. But yung tama yun, yung pagkalinga, yung adults, kailangan din. And of course, syempre, yung drug lord o yung mastermind, kailangan yung isama dyan. Kung sino nag-utos dyan, as a mastermind, kailangang isama lahat to. Encompassing siya.
Well, speaking of punishment, are you for the death penalty?
Yes, especially on heinous crimes and yung corrupt public officials.
Medical marijuana.
No, because ang problem with medical marijuana is baka maabuso eh. Hindi natin alam kung papaano i-handle yung mga plantations, sino mag-handle, papaanong delivery, saan dadalhin, hindi natin alam yon. Dapat very transparent yon. As of now, meron namang mga gamot na po pwede pong sumagot dun sa kaya ng medical marijuana. So, ang point ko is, as long as we have the shabu problem, we have the ecstasy problem, medical marijuana is open to abuse. And I think hindi pa ready yung lipunan natin na i-handle ang isa pang possible problem pag na out of control na naman tong medical marijuana.
Have you tried marijuana?
No.
Sa UPLB?
No, hindi talaga. Hindi talaga.
Okay.
I'm for drug testing ng mga college students.
Okay.
I'm for drug
Sa
testing.
train, sa economics, sa train 2, excise tax.
Sa train 2, sa excise tax, I think dapat hindi po, una muna, excise tax.
Train 1 muna.
Train 1.
Oh.
Hindi kasama dapat ang fuel because yung fuel, pag nilagyan natin ng tax, automatic tatamaan basic commodities. Kawawa yung poorest of the poor. Tatamaan dyan. So, i-tax natin yung mga, I would call luxury items like pagkain sa fast food chains. High fatty na, kumbaga medical risk if you eat those products.
That's everything.
Yes. Yung sugar, medyo ano pa ako doon kasi tinatamaan yung mga nasa Negros eh. Yung mga local producers natin sugar, nagmamahal yung sugar. So, yung mga maalat, fatty food, dapat yan ang i-tax. Sigarilyo, sin tax. Taasan pa talaga. Hanggang sa dumating yung point na wala naman nigarilyo at uminom ng alak.
What's your take on the cases against Rappler? The SEC and the BIR say, hindi, malinaw eh. Their PDRs are different from the PDRs of the other networks and other companies. So, sinasabi ng SEC and BIR, what do you want us to do? Diba? Kung may labag sa batas, we're supposed to exempt them. On the other hand, of course, you know the argument na, no, the President himself has openly attacked Rappler. Therefore, these cases represent an attack on press freedom. What is your interpretation of the cases against Rappler?
I think may basis yung government to say that may foreign fund na pumasok sa Rappler. To be honest about it. And it's a violation of the Constitution. Yun ang nakikitang punto ng pamahalaan. Now, if it's an attack against press freedom, ang tanong ko is, sino ba yung unang nag-attack? Politicized ba ang Rappler? Are they telling the stories na objectively? Yun yung mga basis ko na
But let's assume that the answer for that is they are politicized, and let's assume that the answer to that is they have their biases. What does that legitimize the proposition of some people na this is an attack on a media company that the President himself has openly said, kaaway ko kasi yan?
I don't think so. I don't think so. To be transparent and honest about my opinion, because we do investigative work. I do investigative work, but I am fair to my sources of information. I do ampatuan stories, mangudadato stories, but hindi naman nila ako ina-attack. Very sensitive stories about their wealth, hidden wealth, or political influences, but hindi ko naramdaman yon. So, I think it's a matter of Rappler handling yung issue. Ngayon, because of that handling, may isang nagalit at pinaimbestigahan. So, does it really translate to an attack to press freedom, or bakit naman yung ibang network hindi naman ganun? So
You don't think this could have a chilling effect on everybody else, on
no,
individual
we just do our
journalists?
we just do our jobs as reporters, as reporters, as journalists. Kasi at the end of the day, if it is really an attack on the overall press freedom of the nation, ako mismo lalaban ako doon. I mean, lahat tayo lalaban dyan eh. Hindi ko sinasabi na naghihintay ang lahat. Hindi ko sinasabi na parang ginipig yung Rappler. But what I'm saying is, it's a very specific case which I really do not have a basis to talk about kung papaano ba talaga nagsimula yung attack ng Rappler sa presidente, ano yung perception ng presidente prior to that attack, and what really pushed the government, what article pushed the government to do an investigation and for us to find out that there was foreign fund na pumasok sa Rappler. So, yun yung mga kailangan nating malaman, to be very objective about it, to be transparent about it, because I cannot say na, oy, ina-attack tong isang entity na ito. For what basis? Gusto ko sana, pag nagsalita ako, mas solid yung proof natin na meron talaga. Yung case, for example, ng Maguindanao Massacre, was it an attack on press freedom? Pinatay na talaga yung mga journalists na to? I think hindi. It was more of a political attack
violence.
to silence, political violence, to silence lahat ng kasama doon. So, ibang dimension yon. So, ang gusto ko malaman is, ano yung talagang basis, bakit na-trigger yung galit ng presidente to counter-attack or to attack Rappler. Kasi nangyayari sa US, di ba, parang ina-attack niya lahat ng media to silence, yung mga nag-a-attack sa kanya, ina-attack din niya in return. So, ganun lang yan eh. Parang, yun yung nakikita ko.